Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 17th of October 2022 and the global cryptocurrency market surprisingly is doing a little better than the previous weekends that we had. Now on the 13th of October there was the inflation numbers that was out and looks like that is having a positive impact on the price of the global crypto market. Now as of today the 17th of October, the global crypto market is at $965 billion. So we'll be exploring in today's episode the details of the price matrix of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and we'll also be looking at the market share, 24-hour trading volume, and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And in today's episode, we're also going to be discussing a massive event that took place last week called as Bitcoin Amsterdam, and we'll be highlighting some of the key events from day 1 and day 2. And Nigel Farage, who is the former member of the European Parliament, did say some really positive things about Bitcoin, and he made some really good connection between Bitcoin and freedom in today's environment. Now we have some massive news regarding Binance as well, and Binance is looking to help the Bitcoin mining community, and they're offering $500 million worth of loan for Bitcoin mining industry. And finally, regarding India, we have some news regarding India's love-hate relationship for crypto. But this news is more to do with standard operating procedures for the cryptocurrency industry. Now personally guys, I don't think having an SOP for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is ideal, and we'll be discussing that in today's episode. Now regarding UAE, I have two news. And the first news is something which I'm not too excited about, and this is to do with Venom blockchain. And the news is that the Venom Foundation has acquired an ADGM or Abu Dhabi Global Market license. And what they plan to do is they want to build an infinite scalable blockchain platform. Now, once you research that information, I really am concerned that there is an extremely high degree of centralization. And the second news is about Blockchain DXB. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing my information and knowledge so far as the cryptocurrency industry is concerned, and how you can identify fake news versus legitimate news. In today's world, having a lot of information is not important, but getting information from first source is. And Ray Dalio, who is one of the legends in the financial industry, he has also said that how politicians and mainstream media are making it extremely difficult for average individuals to get information directly from main source. So we'll be exploring that in today's episode. As a matter of fact, even if you look at the Game of Thrones episode, there is a dialogue which says, "It is not important what history says. What is important is who writes the history." So we'll be discussing all of these things in today's episode. So welcome everyone, it's 8 you're in Dubai, and you're listening to Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well. News that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East from the cryptocurrency world. And this is followed by Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And remember guys, every Fridays, I do have an episode called Metaverse Everything. With so much of fluff and hype around Metaverse, I do have an episode every Fridays. So please check out the episodes every Fridays. The format for Metaverse Everything podcast is completely different. And what I tend to do is I also tend to publish a daily and weekly report via my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile is in the show notes below. But before we kickstart today's episode, I have an important message, so check this out. Firstly guys, Startup OI is global one tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called Rise in the Obstacle Course Race, and Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs, and these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. Next, Vertex Events have organized the first ever blockchain summit in the history of the World Expo on 10th to 11th of October 2021 at Dubai Expo 2022. Now they are planning to organize a 2-day blockchain summit in 2022 on the 14th and 15th of October at Grand Hyatt Dubai UAE. And Blockchain Dubai Summit is one of the most innovative and interactive summits in the Middle East. Industry leaders from the world of blockchain, digital assets will gather to discuss advantages of blockchain, crypto, DeFi, NFT and Metaverse, a brilliant event to network with leading personalities in the space. There are a couple of packages and opportunities for sponsorship, so click on the link below to know everything about Vertex Events, and the website is vertexgroups.ae, or also drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet, and this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, since you've taken care of that, let's look at the global crypto market. Now guys, a massive warning regarding today, that is 17th of October, is the numbers are not showing correctly in all of the major platforms, that is CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko and Messari. What I tend to do is when I give a screenshot of the global crypto market, I tend to compare the volume from all 3 sites. But surprisingly, only for today, the numbers are completely different on all 3 platforms. So the data for 17th of October may not necessarily reflect the right data. Now, when you look at CoinMarketCap, the percentage is completely way off. If you look at Messari, there are 2 contradicting information. So when they mention market cap, it shows a different volume in the main screen, but if you click on it, it shows a completely different market share. So it could be possible that they are trying to update something. Now in CoinGecko as well, it's showing the same thing, but in CoinGecko, they do have a banner stating that they have some kind of an update, and that's one of the reasons why the data may not be showing correctly. So the massive warning for today is that 17th of October, the data need not be 100% correct. So what I've done is I've taken some information from CoinMarketCap, some information via Messari, and some information via CoinGecko. Now, as of today, 17th of October, the global crypto market stands at $965.64 billion, and since the last 24 hours, it is up by 14.0%. The total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is $57.07 billion, and since the last 24 hours, it is up by 14.08%. Now, these numbers, as of 17th of October Dubai time, which is early morning hours or 4 a.m., sounds absolutely excellent, considering the fact that we are still on Sunday in US, Canada, and most parts of the world. Usually what happens is on Sundays, the numbers are ridiculously low. Now, Glassnodes and CoinShares, what they tend to do is they tend to provide a technical analysis of what has happened in the last week. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the numbers are, and they tend to publish the report on Mondays. So what I'll try to do is hopefully on the episode that I cover either on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to share more information on what has happened in the previous week. Now, the total volume in DeFi currently stands at $2.66 billion. And this number, guys, if you look at CoinMarketCap, it shows a completely different volume. If you look at CoinGecko, it shows a completely different volume. So I do apologize, the data may not be correct. And the total value locked as of 17th of October is $55.23 billion, and MakerDAO accounts for 14.49%, and $7.77 billion is locked in the DeFi protocol. And I'm also looking at the DeFi market cap for the very first time, and the DeFi market cap stands at $43.7 billion. Now, really interesting matrix which can be seen in Mesari is the DeFi to Ethereum ratio, and the DeFi to Ethereum ratio stands at 27.7%, and surprisingly, the DeFi dominance is ridiculously strong at 4.5%. So what I'm going to be doing is probably tomorrow on in the after's episode, I'm going to have a quick comparison between the dominance on Ethereum protocol. I wouldn't be surprised if NFT constitutes a majority of the chunk so far as DeFi dominance is concerned. Now, DeFi accounts for 7.42% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. The volume of stablecoins is ridiculously low, down to $35.12 billion, and Tether USDT accounts for $27.17 billion, USDC accounts for $2.49 billion, and Binance USD accounts for $4.78 billion. Now, surprisingly, guys, with the contrasting data, only the volume of stablecoins did reflect accurately between CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, and Mesari, and stablecoin accounts for 87.24% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Now let's quickly look at the market share 24-hour trading volume and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And look, guys, ever since the Ethereum merge, the market share of Ethereum has been going down in comparison to the market share of Bitcoin. And in last week's episode, I also talked about how CoinShares blog did actually talk about investor sentiment after Ethereum merge, and investors are definitely hesitant towards Ethereum. Now, as of today, 17th of October, the market share of Bitcoin is $370 billion, and Ethereum's market share has been on a decline in comparison to Bitcoin at $157.9 billion. And since the last 24 hours, the 24-hour trading volume of Bitcoin is $15 billion, whereas Ethereum's 24-hour trading volume is $6.4 billion. And if you look at the dominance, Bitcoin's dominance is at 38.40%, and Ethereum's dominance has gone down to 16.30%. And look, guys, if there are any competing protocols to Ethereum, this is the moment to outshine your protocol. So projects such as BNB, Binance, or Cardano or Solana, this is the time to take the opportunity to overtake Ethereum. Will that happen? I really don't think so. Let's quickly compare the market share of the top 5 smart contracting platform. Ethereum's market share currently stands at $158 billion. Binance's market share stands at $44.06 billion. Cardano's market share is at $12.73 billion. Solana's market share is at $10.84 billion. And Polkadot is at $7.21 billion. Overall, the global cryptocurrency market is not looking bad at all. But if you look at the price of Bitcoin, it is currently at $19,314. So since the last 2 months or so, the price of Bitcoin has been relatively stable. Now since the last 24 hours, it is up by 1.24%. And since the last 7 days, it is marginally down by 0.05%. Ethereum, or first world computer, or the global computer, is at $1,307. And since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 2.5%. And since the last 7 days, it is marginally down by 0.06%. Binance Coin has been extremely steady for almost 6 months now. It is currently at $273. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 1.8%. And since the last 7 days, it is down by 0.09%. So the global cryptocurrency market is surprisingly doing relatively better. Now mind you guys, I'm recording this session on the 17th of October, which is Monday. But I'm recording this session at 4 a.m. in the morning Gulf Standard Time, which is technically still 16th of October. or Sunday in most part of the world. Now, a massive event that did actually take place last week, that was the Bitcoin Amsterdam event. And this was, if not one of the biggest events for Bitcoin. And one of my favorite politicians, that is Nigel Farage, who was the former member of the European Parliament, was also at that event. And Bitcoin Magazine did put out a really beautiful article where the host Peter McCormack did directly ask Nigel Farage a question: what are you doing here at this event? So there's some really interesting talk that Nigel Farage had to say regarding Bitcoin. Now, personally, I do like the way he talks. I think he's, if not one of the most genius people so far as politics is concerned, and he's a massive advocate for freedom and Bitcoin as well. So the former member of the European Parliament, Nigel Farage, drew parallels between leading a political insurgency with Brexit and the opposition Bitcoin is currently experiencing today. And he did say some really nice things regarding Bitcoin, and he did make a really important message that is about central bank digital currencies. And he stated that the lack of proper understanding is probably the reason what leads so many world leaders to consider central bank digital currencies. And this is an absolutely brilliant saying. And even via LinkedIn, I have quite a lot of people who are working as digital leaders in the government sector and in the industry. And when they see any articles on central bank digital currencies, they are making a connection that it is somehow, some way connected to Bitcoin, and they're saying positive things about central bank digital currencies. And I often tend to comment on them in an extremely polite way, explaining what CBDCs are and what Bitcoin is. Now, guys, listen, we at Blockchain DXB have an event next month where we explore central bank digital currencies, the basics, the threats to freedom, and its role in the Metaverse. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of central bank digital currencies, but it does solve two problems. That is, it banks the unbanked, but at what cost? All of your transactions are completely monitored. The government or the central bank do have the ability to completely freeze your account in a matter of seconds. That being said, when you talk about Metaverse, I do think that central bank digital currencies are a much better use case in comparison to cryptocurrencies. So in the session that we conduct next month, where we explore central bank digital currencies, the basics, the threats to freedom, and its role in the Metaverse, we'll explore each and every detail, and we'll also make a quick comparison between Bitcoin and central bank digital currencies. Now, moving on to the next point, and this is a massive news regarding Binance. Binance is, if not having one of the best years in 2022. And the news is that Binance has mentioned via the official blog that Binance is planning to have $500 million to support Bitcoin mining industry with the lending project. Now, this news is once again publicized in a very incorrect way by Bitcoin.com as well. Rather than saying it's Bitcoin mining industry, they have said it is across all cryptocurrency industry. This is incorrect news, because if you read through the blog, it specifically caters only to Bitcoin mining industry. So essentially, what will happen is borrowers will have access to loans on an 18 to 24-month term with interest rates ranging from 5% to 10%. Now, if you are someone who is working in the mining industry, you definitely need to check it out. With the global cryptocurrency market going at a ridiculously low volume and the prices of Bitcoin less than 1/4 of its all-time high, maybe it's a good opportunity to take assistance from Binance, so borrowers will have to offer collateral in the form of mining hardware or cryptocurrencies that will have deemed satisfactory as per Binance's requirement. And there is also another update, and the update is that Binance Pool is also looking for cloud mining vendors, so definitely useful information. And if you are someone who's working in the mining industry, you definitely need to check it out. Now, my big question and worry is, with the way how Binance is managing its operation, Binance is becoming absolutely massive. So the question for you guys for today's episode is, in the near future, will Binance one day be bigger than Bitcoin? Mention your suggestion or comments or your anger in the comment sections below. Now guys, let's talk some news regarding Ethereum. Ever since the Ethereum London fork, which happened, I believe, last year, it has changed the dynamics of money. So Ethereum's supply is extremely cleverly managed because of the burning mechanism. And thanks to the London fork upgrade, over 2.5 million Ether has been burned so far. And 2.5 million Ether times the price of Ethereum is the amount that is taken off from the Ethereum's market share. This would definitely have a significant impact on the market share of Ethereum. So 2.5 million ETH has been burned and it is still continuing. Now, since the post-merge era and with cleverly managed supply, is it possible in the near future that Ethereum flips Bitcoin? I definitely do think so, because if you look at the whole demand and supply between Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin supply is fixed, but Ethereum supply is cleverly managed. And I have some other news regarding Ethereum as well, and this is to do with MetaMask. And the news is via Consensus, which is kind of like the association body that builds product for Ethereum. And Consensus has mentioned via the blog post that MetaMask has added bank to crypto transfer, and they're doing that via a settlement merchant called as Sardine. So the massive news is that MetaMask now enables instant bank funding for US customers to purchase crypto through ACH settlement merchandise Sardine. So if you are an American, rather than going through a cryptocurrency exchange, you can go to MetaMask, connect your bank account indirectly via Ethereum. This, guys, should definitely boost a lot of mainstream adoption. And to be honest, guys, nowadays pretty much everyone who I talk to regarding cryptocurrencies, they are very well aware of what MetaMask is. And guys, one trend which I've observed is that in 2018 or 19, I used to explain to them what MetaMask is, how you need to add them as your browser extension. But lately, I don't need to explain it to people when I talk to them about cryptocurrencies. And I try to explain to them what MetaMask is. They often tell me that they already know what MetaMask is and they already have that as an extension. So definitely brilliant use case. So I think at a macro level, it is a brilliant use case that MetaMask has added bank to crypto transfers via Sardine. Now guys, let's talk about some news regarding India. India has historically had love-hate relationship with cryptocurrencies. And to be honest, I would weigh it more towards the hate side. And the massive news is that the Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, has revealed India's plan to develop standard operating procedures for cryptocurrencies. And this might take place during its G20 presidency from December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023. And she also confirmed that crypto will be part of India's agenda during the G20 presidency visit. Now guys, listen, if you're someone who's not from the cryptocurrency industry, you might think that India is making a brilliant move by starting standard operating procedures for cryptocurrencies. This is a terrible news. Now, why a standard operating procedure or association or councils are terrible is because governments tend to have standard operating procedures which cater to government requirements. And the whole idea of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is to create a movement towards separation of money and the state. Now, in that standard operating procedure, a government might mention that it is compulsory to have KYC, compulsory to have maybe AML requirements, compulsory to sanction few accounts. That is a big no when you talk about cryptocurrencies and open blockchain. So having a standard operating procedure is definitely not ideal for Bitcoin and open blockchain. And historically, Bitcoin and open blockchain has had severe allergic reaction to standard operating procedures. So you truly need to understand why was Bitcoin created. Bitcoin was created as a movement towards separation of money and the states. Now, if you're someone who's not from the cryptocurrency industry, you might think that India is taking a brilliant initiative by having a standard operating procedure. This is not ideal because in the standard operating procedures, they also have best practices, and anyone who deviates from the best practices will not be allowed to be part of an open blockchain. So at a macro level, it might sound good, but once you truly understand what Bitcoin is, you definitely need to understand that news such as this is definitely not ideal for Bitcoin and open blockchain. As a matter of fact, when you talk about two news regarding UAE, I'm also going to be talking about some of the pillars of open blockchain, which is popularized by Andreas Antonopoulos. Now guys, let's talk about two news regarding UAE. But before we move on to two crypto and blockchain news regarding UAE, I have two news regarding obstacle course race in UAE. The first news is about Spartan Race, and they have a massive event in December, the World Championship. And this is the second time they have the World Championship event in Abu Dhabi. And guys, I have a standalone episode with Spartan Race founder Joe Cena talking about Spartan Race NFT. And Sean, who's the Chief Technology Officer, was also in the podcast. And Calvin, who's one of the OGs in the NFT space, was at the podcast as well. So we discussed from a business point of view, why did Spartan Race decide to go ahead and launch its NFT, what were the challenges, and quite a lot more. So please check out those episodes. It is a standalone episode talking more about NFTs and not so much regarding obstacle course race. And the second message is also about obstacle course race and my favorite one, that is Tough Mudder. And listen guys, I'm on a mission to do my 100th Tough Mudder, so check both the messages now. The first message is from Spartan. Now Spartan is a global fitness brand with 10 million strong community. They create transformational events, experiences, products and content to help people, companies and teams tear down boundaries and expand what they believe to be possible. From day one, nearly 2 decades ago, they've been champions of human transformation and they live to help people get outside, eat healthy and develop habits that lead to a life of constant progress. With families of brands, they push people from every corner of the globe outside the comfort zone and immerse them in a world of tough fitness and elite sports. Now they do this because you can face and overcome adversity head on and your potential is limitless. Now this year in December in Abu Dhabi, the land of Gazelle, thousands of athletes and spectators will gather at the metropolis in the desert to compete for Spartan immortality. This is a unique opportunity to watch the world's best obstacle course race athletes compete for world championship and have your group conquer the course themselves. The massive event takes place from the 2nd till the 4th of December this year. Now for Spartan World Championship, the ticket details and registration to the programs are mentioned in the links below. Now if you are into running, if you are into adventure, and if you are in UAE, you definitely need to check this out. And the second news, guys, is about Tough Mudder. Now listen guys, there are 3 things that I'm extremely passionate about. All 3 of them have some kind of similarity. That is heavy metal, Bitcoin and obstacle course race. Now we've looked at the premier obstacle course race event, that is Spartan Race, which is taking place between the 2nd and 4th of December. But the next one that I'd like to discuss is Tough Mudder. Now Tough Mudder is unique and I did my very first obstacle course race, that was Tough Mudder. And Tough Mudder obstacles are more fun, more adventurous and it involves a lot of teamwork. Now the team is putting up an exclusive event in partnership with Abu Dhabi Sports Council, and this event takes place at a unique location at the border of Dubai and Abu Dhabi called as Guntoot. The event takes place on the 23rd of this month, which is less than 2 weeks from now. It's going to be great. It's only 5 kilometers of running with 13 obstacles, and some of the obstacles are really unique and fun. So go to YouTube and just type in Blockness Monster or type in electroshock therapy or pyramid 2.0. You would understand what I'm talking about. So listen guys, do one thing, click on the link below, sign up for your very first Tough Mudder event, and you can also use my promo code, which is George25, for a 25% discount. Now if you are into running, if you are into adventure, if you are into obstacle course race, you definitely need to sign up for this event. So go to the website toughmudderarabia.com and you can also follow them on Instagram. The Instagram handle is toughmudderarabia. Now since we've taken care of that, let's look at 2 news from UAE. And to be honest guys, I'm extremely skeptical about the first news. And the first news is that the Venom Foundation obtains ADGM license, that is Abu Dhabi Global Market license. And what they plan to do is they plan to have an infinite scalable blockchain platform. And guys, let me share some more information about Venom Foundation and why I don't like the idea. So the website is venom.foundation, and as per the website it says, Venom is a blockchain network focused on Middle East and North Africa region, as well as emerging economies worldwide, to provide robust infrastructure for central bank digital currency products and Web 3.0 applications. This statement just completely ends it for me because they're focusing on Middle East and North Africa region. When you talk about open blockchain, it cannot be catered to a specific industry. The next thing that they mentioned is central bank digital currencies. You can't merge open blockchain with central bank digital currencies. These are kind of exactly the opposite. So you need to go back to the basics of open blockchain. Having a blockchain protocol cater to a specific industry and cater to central bank digital currencies defeats the whole purpose of having open blockchain. Now on the website it says that Venom is a multi-blockchain network being a basis for scalable Web3 applications in the DeFi and global payments markets. Now listen guys, Web 3.0 is just a buzzword to get funding for venture capitalists and hedge funds. Last Friday I did release an episode talking about Web 3.0, the reality and bullshit. I would really recommend you guys to go ahead and listen to that episode. It gives crucial information on Web 3.0, and to be honest guys, there are very few areas where Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse, so check out the episode that will release on the 14th of October. Now going back to Venom Foundation, and as per the website it says Venom blockchain provides the best transactional scalability solutions by sharding protocol and economic scalability by enabling run community-built subchains in the future. And it states that everyone can be part of the Venom ecosystem, which is open and transparent. I'll get back to this later because when you look at the Explorer, not anyone can check these transactions. Now, on the website, it says that Venom has an asynchronous model of communication between accounts and smart contracts. Now, if you go to the website, I could not find the white paper, but on the website, they do have a section called Docs. And that section does provide some useful information, but the biggest worrisome thing is if you go to the Explorer, it does ask you for a username and password. This is a big no. So when you look at Bitcoin or any open blockchain protocol, you do not require a username or password in order to check these transactions. But if you go to the Explorer for Venom blockchain, it does ask you for username and password, which just means that there is a central entity who goes ahead and gives you access if you can view these transactions and if you cannot view these transactions. And this goes back to the basics of open blockchain. Now, Andreas Antonopoulos has put up an excellent video detailing open blockchain. So things such as open source, neutral, borderless, censorship resistant, permissionless, and publicly verifiable are some of the key components of open blockchain, and looks like Venom blockchain is not meeting the basic criteria of open blockchain, which makes it an extremely centralized protocol. So the news that is published in Xavier.com is that the Venom Foundation is licensed in UAE's Abu Dhabi global market to build an infinite scalable blockchain platform. Before we go into further details of this, you need to understand the blockchain trilemma problem. The first one is security, scalability, and decentralization and distributed, which means a blockchain has to compromise on one of these criteria. And that's one of the reasons why we call it the blockchain trilemma problem. Now guys, since 2016, I've seen numerous protocols which says that we can scale blockchain like no other. Some of them have even said that we can scale blockchain 1 million times more than Ethereum. These blockchain protocols have completely disappeared, and Venom Foundation is claiming that they can infinitely scale blockchain protocol, but they are making a massive compromisation so far as the whole decentralization and distributed aspect of open blockchain is concerned. And Venom Foundation appears to be making a massive compromise in that aspect, and they need to truly understand what the blockchain trilemma problem is. Now, the news states that Venom Foundation has the distinction to emerge as the first cryptocurrency entity to obtain a license in ADGM, that is Abu Dhabi Global Market, an international finance center and free zone located on Al Maria Island in the UAE's capital, Abu Dhabi. The sort of license gives Venom Foundation a golden opportunity to build an infinite scalable platform in the Middle East and North Africa region, which is emerging as the hub for transactional management, maximum cybersecurity, and inbound governmental database projects. The article also states that the license gives the foundation to operate a blockchain and issue tokens, which has hitherto not permitted by ADGM, a fintech oasis for investors and financial services firms around the globe. And the article also says the Venom Foundation has registered as the first crypto foundation in the ADGM with a license to operate a blockchain and issue utility tokens. ADGM is well known as a fintech oasis for investors and financial services firms in the region and around the globe. The next essential step of Venom blockchain is its launch, and looks like they're going to be launching the Venom blockchain pretty soon. And Venom Foundation is a leader with 3 core directions such as essential infrastructure, support of inbound projects, developer-friendly platform, each to offer novel solutions for solving early existing issues in the crypto market. Through the most valued feature for MENA region is the technology that enables major corporations and companies to conduct an easy and secure transition into Web3 globalization, managing the gross data transaction flows without faltering by increasing fees and transaction times. And guys, to be honest, on the LinkedIn profile, I did see the profile of the people who are managing the Venom Foundation, and I hate to say it, none of them have been in the cryptocurrency industry before 2022. So I really am extremely skeptical with these projects, but because it is a massive entity and because they're getting a lot of funding, it could be possible that they might get a lot of funding, and over time these projects may turn out to be either 100% successful or it might just completely disappear. The next news, guys, is what I want to share my thoughts and opinions on how to identify fake news versus legitimate news so far as Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse is concerned. Now look, guys, we live in a world where having a lot of information is not important. Having information from first source is. And guys, it's so critical to understand that just because you read information does not make it 100% true. Mainstream media has lost all of its credibility. What I genuinely think, guys, it is highly possible that one is reading information and building a lot of their knowledge. But if you're reading the information and knowledge from the incorrect source, you have a knowledge base which is filled with incorrect, misleading, and false information. And in our world, and one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because in today's world, we do have all the equipment, we do have all the tools, but it just requires the right guidance to get information from the first source. And looking at information, the first source is extremely critical in the era of extreme left-wing media, celebrities and influencers who often edit, cherry-pick information that suits their own personal agenda or interest. Now think of an example. Let's say if a Bitcoin developer who just has, let's say, 2,000 followers posts some technical information about a Bitcoin protocol. If a contradicting media or a celebrity picks up that news, if they tend to change it, put their own narrative, whose information do you think people are going to follow and listen? So what I'm trying to say is, what we need to do from our end is we need to look at information from first source. So if a celebrity or mainstream media or influencer is talking about this particular news, what we need to do is we need to research more. We need to look at information about the software developer, what he has said, in which context he has said, and then make up our own decision. Now this is extremely time consuming, but it is so critical. And with over 21,343 cryptocurrencies, it is extremely critical to look at information from first source. So some of the ways where you can get access to first source is look at the direct source for Twitter posts. So let me give you an example. There was this news few months ago that Apple is planning to get into cryptocurrencies. Now, if you try to research and try to do more information, the information that I found from Twitter was that the journalist who actually interviewed Tim Cook did actually say that Apple is getting into cryptocurrencies, but there is a video along with that as well, and the video is well over 22 minutes long. If you listen to the entire video, 20 minutes they talked everything about Apple. After the 20 minutes were over, he asked that since we are over time, I just wanted to ask you a quick question. What are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies? And Tim Cook very specifically said that he does like cryptocurrencies, but he'll make sure that his users are not allowed to access cryptocurrencies. So the actual news is that Apple or Tim Cook does not want his users to use cryptocurrencies, but how media turned and switched that news is that Apple does like cryptocurrencies, and that's one of the reasons why there was so much hype about Apple getting into cryptocurrencies. The other news that I can think of is Walmart. There was a post circulating in Twitter that Walmart is hiring for a specialist in blockchain. 100% fake news. If you read through the Twitter post, it only had an experience required from the blockchain industry, and they wanted to build a centralized protocol on its payment services, which has absolutely nothing to do with blockchain protocol itself. So what I would recommend you to do is, when you're looking at any information, let's say be it from mainstream media or even from cryptocurrency media, try to research some more information, look at the first source of information, and I see so many LinkedIn posts. What they tend to do is they just tend to copy paste what either CoinDesk has said, what Bitcoin Magazine has said, or any other leading publication has said. As a matter of fact, in my LinkedIn profile, guys, I have often criticized Bitcoin Magazine for providing incorrect, misleading, and fake information. One example I can think of is to do with Dubai. Bitcoin Magazine did actually post via Twitter that a firm in Dubai called as Day-to-Day Care is planning to accept Bitcoin as form of payment. Now this is misleading information because Day-to-Day Care, they wanted to accept all different types of cryptocurrencies. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Day-to-Day website, they accept all other cryptocurrencies except Bitcoin. So that is the information that I'd like to talk about. So when you're looking at any information, make sure you look at information from first source. Now with reference to Day-to-Day Care, I'm pretty much sure that thing is updated by now and they've started to accept Bitcoin as well. Even Dan Held, one of the OGs and maximalists of Bitcoin, is notoriously known for misleading information. He often tweets incorrect and misleading information. And Michael Saylor, he's been on a barrage of incorrect and misleading information. Now he has often tweeted that Bitcoin has never had a downtime, and more than 6,000 people liked that comment. This is fake news and incorrect information. Bitcoin has had a downtime. As a matter of fact, Bitcoin has had a downtime for more than 5 hours, and it has had a downtime more than once. So when you're looking at information, make sure you do more research, look at information from first source, listen to interviews, and I really recommend, guys, listen to the entire interview, not just cherry pick part or edited or taken out of context. I'm trying to recollect, guys, one of the articles that I had read in the month of February. I don't remember the name, but let me just give you a gist so you get an idea of how to identify fake news versus legitimate news. So the news was to do with real estate, and the online publication did actually say that cryptocurrencies are a new technologies and there is a future for it. This was followed by, but it is extremely volatile, because of which we are definitely going to make sure that our real estate investors will not be getting into cryptocurrencies. But what the online publication did, they only took the first part of the statement, linked it to real estate, and the article actually said that real estate is the next industry moving into cryptocurrencies. So these are the examples of fake news versus legitimate news. And it's so important, guys, to truly understand the basics of Bitcoin and open blockchain. What I strongly recommend is listen to interviews, but listen to the entire interviews, in which context the things are said. Listen to podcasts, very important to truly understand. Listen to the entire podcast. It is time consuming, but in today's world, I do believe we have the right and we should be a journalist ourselves to identify fake news versus legitimate news. So that's all for today, guys, in the Crypto and Coffee Update from Blockchain DXB. In case if you have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com and check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com. And guys, check out my other website, that is area2071.com, that talks everything about Metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes is going to be an Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. So let's kick start with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursday is 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. We have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how this series of episodes into Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. I have a question by Sahil who asks, will Bitcoin become a world reserve currency? Now to be honest, Sahil, I don't think Bitcoin will become a world reserve currency. And this same question was asked, I believe, a few months ago, and I shared my opinion on why I think that it is not ideal for Bitcoin to be a world reserve currency? And the answer is pretty simple. I believe over 18 million Bitcoin has already been distributed out of the 21 million Bitcoins. And Sahil, only the early adopters, multi-billionaires, and celebrities and influencers have acquired a majority chunk of the Bitcoin. So I would definitely not want Bitcoin to be a world reserve currency. It would be a terrible idea. So the big question is, do you trust the government or do you trust multi-billionaires, early investors, early adopters in Bitcoin? Now personally, I would not trust anyone. I would prefer to trust in cryptography, hashing algorithm, and mathematics. So to answer your question, I don't think Bitcoin will be a world reserve currency, but I do think that what Bitcoin could play a role in acting as a settlement layer. Now, there's a lot of information so far settlement layer is concerned. So Sahil, what I would recommend you to do is Dr. Saifuddin Amos. He has, if not one of the most influential book talking about Bitcoin as a settlement layer. And he talked about the Bitcoin standard. I would really recommend you guys to go and read through the entire thing. And he talks about how Bitcoin can be used as a settlement layer. But going back to your question, will Bitcoin be used as a world currency? I definitely don't think so. It is a good idea. And this also goes back to the question of El Salvador, once again, which I mentioned so many times in my podcast. Was it a good idea for El Salvador to make Bitcoin legal tender? I don't think so. It was a good idea. What President Nayib Bukele should have done in order to help El Salvadorians is maybe try to issue a stable coin was linked to Bitcoin. And as much as I hate RippleNet would have been an ideal use case for a country like El Salvador. So to answer your question, Simon, I don't think Bitcoin will become a world reserve currency, considering the fact that over 160 countries counting are currently working on central bank digital currencies. And one thing, Sahil, which Nigel Farage also mentioned at the Bitcoin Amsterdam event is that people generally do not understand what Bitcoin is, and the lack of proper understanding is probably the reason why so many poor leaders are considering central bank digital currencies. That unfortunately will happen. And which I also mentioned in the podcast is there are so many people on LinkedIn, they get really excited and extremely positive that countries are issuing central bank digital currencies. So Sal, it's so critical that we truly understand what Bitcoin is. And once you understand what Bitcoin is, you truly understand what Bitcoin is not. And if that is the case, I don't think it's ideal to have Bitcoin as a world reserve currency. So that's all for today, guys, on the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case you guys have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. Check out my website, www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website, that is area2071.com, that talks everything about Metaverse. And guys, if you like listening to this podcast, please click the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursday is 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. We have Crypto and Coffee at 8. There we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how this series of episodes into Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant day ahead. Bye-bye.